You're listening to Faith, Stewardship, and Insurance, Protecting Texas Churches. The show that gives pastors and church leaders the clarity they need to protect their people, property, and ministry.
Welcome back to Faith, Stewardship, and Insurance, Protecting Texas Churches. I'm your host, Ron Wadley with Insurance for Texans. We help church leaders protect their people, property, and purpose with wisdom and confidence. This is the last episode in our series, Things Churches Don't Think About Until It's Too Late. Today, we're looking at one of the most misunderstood situations we see across Texas, which is how insurance coverage works if your church is running or hosting a daycare on your campus. Childcare is an incredible way to serve families and make use of your space during the week, but it also creates an insurance blind spot for many churches. A church in Fort Worth recently reached out to us to discuss their plans of having a daycare operate in their building during the week. They were trying to help local families find more affordable options for childcare so that families could put money back in their budgets. A board member asked them two questions that caught them off guard. He wanted to know, what happens if a child gets hurt, and does our church insurance cover it? No one had a clear answer to either question. The church has general liability insurance, but they were questioning if that was enough. The more they thought about it, the more questions came up, and that prompted a call to one of our experienced insurance agents. When we think about this question, the first thing we need to know is if the daycare is part of your church or a separate business that is operating in your space. If it's fully operated by the church, it might fall under your policy, but only if daycare operations are specifically listed. On the other hand, if it's a separate business or franchise, your church policy probably doesn't cover it at all. That Fort Worth church learned their daycare wasn't automatically included just because it met inside the church building, leaving both the ministry and the church exposed. Even when a daycare is part of the church, standard policies often miss major risks. Most are written for Sunday services and not full-time childcare. There are three big areas where coverage usually falls short. The first is in your church's general liability policy. It covers injuries or property damage, but daycare activities are often excluded unless endorsed. A second gap is abuse and molestation liability. It is an essential protection, yet many policies exclude it without a special add-on. This coverage is especially important because even false allegations can lead to massive legal costs. And last is workers' compensation. While it is not required by law in Texas, it is an important protection. Without it, if a daycare worker is injured, your church could be held responsible for their medical bills and lost wages. These are costly gaps that can cripple a ministry if they aren't addressed properly. For many churches, the smartest move is a separate daycare insurance policy. It's designed for childcare operations and offers protection your general policy simply doesn't. This type of policy includes coverage for injuries during daycare hours, protection against lawsuits or misconduct claims, workers' compensation for staff, and legal defense for liability claims. Without the right policy, one accident could jeopardize your whole ministry. It is also important to note that if your operations change by adding a daycare and you don't inform your insurance company, they are unlikely to cover any resulting claims. Running a daycare is a powerful ministry that supports families, provides jobs, and fills your church with life. But with that opportunity comes responsibility. Good stewardship involves protecting people and preparing for risk. Make sure your insurance grows alongside your ministry. At Insurance for Texans, we help churches across Texas protect every part of their ministry, from Sunday services to weekday daycare programs. Through our True Texas Church Insurance Program, we customize coverage to fit your unique operations because your ministry doesn't look like anyone else's. Let me ask you a final question. If your church runs or hosts a daycare, are you certain that your insurance policy will cover it? If not, let's fix that before something goes wrong. Visit insurancefortexans.com to talk with a church insurance specialist. We'll review your coverage, close the gaps, and make sure your church and daycare are both protected. And be sure to grab a copy of our book, The Promise of Certainty, at thepromiseofcertainty.com. It's your guide to clear, confident insurance decisions for your ministry. I'm Ron Wadley, and this has been Faith, Stewardship, and Insurance Protecting Texas Churches. Until next time, remember, every new ministry is a blessing, but good stewardship makes it sustainable.
Thanks for listening to Faith, Stewardship, and Insurance. Until next time, remember, insurance isn't just about policies. It's about safeguarding the mission God has called you to lead.